What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some more news concerning Big John Fury. It's Big John Fury Sunday counterpunching. Get this. John Fury thinks that Steve Cunningham, who dropped Tyson in their 2013 fight, is better than Oleksandr Usyk. Wow. John Fury believes that his son Tyson Fury has already fought a better cruiserweight turned heavyweight than Usyk. In 2013, Tyson made his U.S. debut at Madison Square Garden in New York City against former cruiserweight champion Steve Cunningham. And as you guys can see, we've seen Steve Cunningham drop Tyson Fury a great deal. But Tyson got up. He took the shot, after being stretched out on his back, despite having a 6-inch height advantage and being 44 pounds heavier than Cunningham. The Gypsy King found himself on the canvas in round 2. Never one to give up easily. However, Fury did come back. He did flurry. He did do whatever it took to win. Okay. And this is where he's going to have criticism on the way he won, but we'll talk about that in another video. He did get the job done. Bars. He said, Usyk, look at him. He's just too small, mate. John said, he's a great little boxer. He's probably a lovely fella. I've got nothing against him at all. I like the Ukrainian people. It's a great country, and I wish them all the best. They're struggling at the moment with their own problems, but Usyk, talking boxing lingo, just too small for Tyson. He's got nothing to beat him with. I thought Steve Cunningham was a better fighter than Usyk back in the day. Cunningham was better than Usyk. He said, at cruiserweight, Steve Cunningham was unbeatable because he had everything. He had speed, he had power, he could move around the ring, great coordination, It's just that boxing has moved on, but not for the better. The guys just seem to be doing all the modern techniques. It just looks awful to the eye. To me, they've got a lot right, but they've got a lot wrong as well. But we stick to the old school methods. They work. I've seen Usyk fight Joshua twice. He ain't beaten Tyson. Definitely not. I'm not just saying that because he's my own son, but he's been out there 34 times unbeaten, and I've not been wrong yet. So there you are. Tyson's the king of the ring. And let me counterpunch. You are saying that because that's your son. You are automatically biased, John. Bars. And let's go back to what he said. He said that Steve Cunningham in 2013, cruiserweight turned heavyweight, was better than Oleksandr Usyk now. Okay. According to who? Just yourself. Okay. His opinion. What warrants Steve Cunningham being better than Oleksandr Usyk now? He said he has nothing to hurt him with. Okay, a guy that was a cruiserweight that moved to a heavyweight, okay, we've seen this just lately, has more than Usyk. Okay, that's convenient for you to say that simply because that's the same thing that Oleksandr Usyk did. And let me ask you guys this. How can John say that a guy, Steve Cunningham, was better than Oleksandr Usyk now, when Steve Cunningham himself has said that I'm not as good as Oleksandr Usyk? So you're bragging on a man that you claim is better than Oleksandr Usyk, and that same man is telling you and telling everybody else that would listen that Usyk is a better version of me. He's better than I am. So how will you sit here and say, no, Usyk is not? Let me tell you what this is about. First of all, it's his son. Second of all, he has to have explanation or a explanation for Usyk doing exactly what Steve Cunningham did, but possibly more so. What do I mean? Steve Cunningham was a former cruiserweight, right? And he was very successful. He was quick, he was this, he was that. And Usyk was the same. He didn't talk about how good Usyk was at cruiserweight. So you left that whole part out. And if you compare Usyk to Cunningham, there you go, people. You can't. Compare Cunningham with the accolades that Usyk possessed. Okay? Usyk had far more accomplishments than Steve Cunningham. And this is not a Steve Cunningham bashing anything, just setting the record straight. But then they both went to heavyweight. And the only thing that Steve Cunningham really did was, Steve, put your son down to the ground in Madison Square Garden, and it was quite embarrassing. Your son really had to cheat him to knock him out. He had to hold him with one elbow and whack him with the other. You know what I mean? Because he probably could not keep him still, which, to be fair, Tyson was getting to him. He was getting to him. He was catching him with 1-2s, which were very good, you know, especially coming from a southpaw. So, you know, Tyson Fury, he did exactly, like I said, he did exactly what he needed to do, you know, to get him out. And that consists of roughhouse tactics like we've seen him do, you know. So those type of things, you know. And I'm looking at Steve like, well, hey, Steve Cunningham is a guy that, yes, he was very good at what he did. You know, he had 9 losses. So he's, you know, he lost to guys, you know, he had a draw with Antonio Tarver, you know, Amir Mansour. He beat him. He lost to Tyson Fury. He lost to Thomas Adamek, Johan Pablo Herman. You know, like he lost to guys, actually, he lost to a lot of guys back to back. So he had a lot of redos. Okay. But other than that, he was pretty good, you know, as a cruiserweight. But he did not get to anywhere near Oleksandr Usyk, because Oleksandr Usyk to this day has never lost. And then you're trying to say that a guy, because that guy dropped your son and made your son look bad, now that guy is better than in that time he's better than Oleksandr Usyk has now. The reality of that is those guys that you claim that are too small are able to drop your son that is so damn big. Counterpunch. That's all this really means. You're trying to just, hey, he has nothing to hit him with. He has nothing to hurt him with. How about his fists? You know, like I told you guys in the live stream yesterday, Otto Wallin hurt Tyson Fury in the 12th round. Otto Wallin is by far not in the same category of talking about knockouts. He's not a knockout guy at all. Okay? But he was able to hurt Tyson Fury. So what does that mean? That means anybody over 200 plus pounds that is considered a heavyweight can hurt you. Tyson Fury does not have a chin of iron. He has a will of iron, if anything. Okay? He's not indestructible. He can be hurt by guys that are not even considered punchers like Otto Wallin. Smaller guys that come from cruiserweight like Steve Cunningham. So why in Hades would Oleksandr Usyk not be able to hurt him based on what? You're making no sense. Your argument is very poor. Okay? All because Tyson Fury is your son. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Big John Fury stating that Steve Cunningham, that dropped Tyson Fury in 2013, is better than Oleksandr Usyk now. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!